Down to the last exercise. Here, we're going to look at a sale of an asset, long-term asset in exercise 7-17. Let's read the information first, pull out the relevant information, and then see how we'll proceed. So Abbott Landscaping purchased a tractor at a cost of $42,000 and sold it 3 years later for $21,600. Abbott recorded depreciation using the straight line method, a 5-year service life, and an estimated $3,000 residual value. Tractors are included in equipment account. They want us to record the sale of the asset, and then in part 2, they're saying, assume that you sold it for $13,600 instead of $21,600. So let's start with writing down the basic information. The original cost of the asset is $42,000. We acquired this on 1/1/24. The estimated useful life is 5 years. Estimated salvage value is $3,000. The depreciation method is straight line method. They're telling us 3 years later, in part 1, we sold it for $21,600. They've asked us to redo the exercise, assuming you sold it for $13,600. So I'm going to look at my journal entries. The first journal entry is date of acquisition. Here, I should have put 21. Okay. So on 1/1/21, my journal entry is equipment debit, cash credit for the $42,000. At the end of the first year, my depreciation expense is calculated as 42 minus 3 divided by 5. So 42,000 minus 3,000 divided by 5. So my depreciation is 7,800 per year. So depreciation expense debit, accumulated depreciation credit, and that amount is 7,800. Now I've done this for 3 years. At the end of 21, 22, and 23. After 3 years, in the 4th year, I sold the asset. So here I sold the asset, so I received cash. The cash I received, I'm looking at part 1 over here, the cash I received is $21,600. Now when I sell my asset, I need to take the asset off my books. The original cost of the asset is $42,000, so I take it off my books at $42,000. Accumulated depreciation is a contra asset account. It lives in my books only as long as the asset lives. So now that I got rid of the asset, I need to get rid of the accumulated depreciation as well. I was depreciating the asset at the rate of $7,800 per year. I had the asset for 3 years. I depreciated it 3 times. So my accumulated depreciation is going to be 7,800 times 3, which is 23,400. Now compare the debits and credits and see which side we are short on. So when you add these two numbers up, we have 45,000. So we're short on this side, 3,000. That means it's a gain. Now, let me just do that calculation over here and show it to you what we're looking at. We're looking at, or let me scroll over on this side. And let me show you the calculation. The original cost of the asset less accumulated depreciation gives me the book value of the asset, what the value of the asset is in my books. So the original cost of the asset is $42,000. I have depreciated it 23,400. So my book value on this day is 18,600. Compare this number, 18,600, with how much I sold it for. I sold it for 21,600. So I sold it at a gain. I sold it at more than my book value. Therefore, I have a gain of 3,000. Now, these numbers are not changing in part two. Those stay the same. So I'll write the 42,000 over here. I will write actually, all of this stays the same here, so I don't need to really make any change over there. Now, in part two, they're telling us same thing. The difference over here now they're telling is I received 13,600. Okay, accumulated depreciation is that same number. That doesn't change. My book value, the original cost, is the same, 42,000. So those numbers have changed the same. Let me highlight that in yellow. So those numbers are the same. What I have in yellow are these numbers over here. None of that has changed. My book value is still 18,600. What has changed is how much cash I received. I received 13,600. Book value is 18,600. I got less than what I had it in my books. I got less. That less is loss on sale. So if you're short on the debit side, total debits minus total credits, if you're short on the debit side, it's a loss. If you're short on the credit side, it's a gain. Or a better way to look at it is the original cost minus accumulated depreciation is the book value. Compare how much cash you received to that book value. If you received more than, you will have a gain. If you receive less than, you have a loss on sale of assets. So this brings the topic on long-term assets to an end for now.